Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman invites you to mark 1 year since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. Join us as we come together this Monday, October 7th at 6 p.m. at the Harry Chapin Lakeside Theater in Eisenhower Park. Let's stand together in solidarity with Israel and those held hostage Monday, October 7th, 6 p.m. at Eisenhower Park. For more information, visit nassaucountyny.gov.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And Rita, who do we have now?
And now we have Doug Schoen, the great political pundit. And also, Doug, the other big story everybody's talking about is sort of the MIA, if you will, of this White House with these storms coming about. We've got another one about to smash, sadly, into Florida, potentially tomorrow night. They're still reeling after Hurricane Helene. Talk about how the White House feels rudderless right now, Doug. The world feels rudderless.
The White House is rudderless. They have no plan to deal with this second hurricane or the compounded impact of two hurricanes effectively hitting in the same place within a couple of weeks. North Carolina and Georgia are now key swing states, which have been made tougher for Harris and Waltz by the first hurricane and potentially this second one, Milton. This is an out-of-control White House, and what you were saying just now with Alan Dershowitz is an out-of-control White House with foreign policy. Israel is making its own decisions. The United States is almost a bystander, and it's the same thing in terms of domestic policy. They're just trying to get through the election.
Craig Eaton.
You know what, Doug? I would take it a step further. I don't think they're out of control. I think they're closed for business. The White House is shut down.
I said out of touch.
There is nothing happening in Washington right now.
Nobody's in charge.
Nobody's in charge. You're just waiting for the election. I mean, if it was the summer, he'd be in Delaware.
In my article today with Andrew Stein.
Stein is on your side and getting results.
It's scary. It's a scary state of affairs. It's scary where we are.
Yeah, and in fact, Trump made a joke just recently, guys, saying that there should be the 25th Amendment on both Biden and Harris. You know, because it seems like they're both sort of MIA. She's busy campaigning. He's like saying which storm. I mean, it's a really scary thing, though, Doug, as we're looking at what's happening.
Who becomes president if they won't do that? You know why? You know who becomes president? Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House.
Exactly. They can't have that. But it is scary, Doug, when you look at all of the sort of catastrophic things that are going on around the world. I mean, we're talking about whether Iran tested a nuclear device. We're talking about, the storm of the century potentially hitting tomorrow, Florida. And our president, it really does seem MIA. That's a frightening position to be in for America. Hey, Doug, are you there? We lost Doug. We're getting Doug back in a second here. But it's a scary place to be when you're sitting or and to see her out of touch. And we're going to talk, by the way, coming up in the next few minutes with John Solomon, because the other issue is about funds. The fact, where are their priorities? They're sending humanitarian aid to Lebanon.
Yeah,
I'm happy for Lebanon.
Who gets that money? Hezbollah gets that money.
Exactly.
When you send money to Gaza, who gets that money? Hamas gets that money. Are we totally out of our minds? Why do we keep funding terrorists?
And what about American citizens, Judge Weinberg? I mean, that's the other thing. What about Americans? If you talk to any of those people in the mountain towns in North Carolina, I understand we have Doug back here. Doug, go ahead, Doug.
This is a government that is not in any way leading or governing domestically or internationally, and we are at risk. And the thing I worry about is another October surprise, whether it be in the Middle East or more likely in the Taiwan Straits.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig Eaton.
You know, Doug, I'm even more concerned about attacks here in the country because they realize around the world that if Trump gets back in, they have a very small window, and it's so dangerous and so scary. Look what happened with Iran and that potential test that went on. I mean, that's scary stuff.
It's absolutely scary. And That's why I believe the Israelis are actively considering more assertive and aggressive attacks on Iran, which I think we all have to take very seriously and consider.
Absolutely. Judge Weinberg.
Doug, I read reports today that said that the Israelis don't trust the Americans and the Americans don't trust the Israelis, and the Americans are very upset that they were not given heads up by the attacks, the defensive attacks by Israel, and as if they had an absolute right to have those disclosed to them. They don't trust them because it would be leaked out, and then the other side would prepare against it. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are the only role the United States is playing in the Middle East is a defensive one, supporting the Iron Dome, which is important when Israel's attacked. But there's no leadership, there's no credibility, and there certainly is no support for our only sovereign democratic ally in the region, which is Israel.
Very sad, very sad. And on 60 Minutes, I understand Kamala Harris refused to say that she'll support Netanyahu.
Yeah, which is scary.
She sounded MIA, John.
Totally MIA. And then she's also doing all these other things today, Doug. But before we let you go, Doug, the polls look like they have tightened. I mean, this is a neck and neck race, but it seems like the Trump team got a little bit of a bump from J.D. Vance, the VP debate. Your thoughts?
The race is 3 points nationally, according to the New York Times, tied in the swing states. Bottom line, this is a dead heat, and we do not know who's ahead.
Wow. Doug Schoen, thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Your time and expertise are valuable, making Focus one of the most important resources to have at work. These days, professionals spend nearly half the work week on written communication, and it can be difficult to stay on task with all the emails and documents you have to get through. With Grammarly as your AI writing partner, you can stay focused and quickly get through your work with relevant real-time suggestions wherever you write. It works across 500,000 apps and websites, so it can help with everything, from brainstorming presentation ideas to sounding more confident and persuasive in emails and reports. For 15 years, Grammarly has offered best-in-class communication support and enterprise-grade security on a business model that doesn't sell your data. 93% of professionals report that Grammarly helps them get more work done. Download Grammarly for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. That's GRAMMARLY.com/podcast.